So, hello again. And I wanted to tackle a topic today that may be a little bit challenging to follow, but see what you can follow with me today. And then it might percolate even afterwards. So, so I wanted to talk a little bit about our ego and our souls, really. Or I don't want to divide them, but sometimes they are very aligned and we flow between our ego and our souls in a very fluid way. And it's really beautiful because we can live our lives in a way that it just feels like grace, really, in a really graceful way, because our egos and our souls are aligned, they're in the same direction, and we feel like, oh, everything is just kind of smooth inside. We might hit road bumps in our life, we might hit challenges, but the alignment itself really supports us. And the topic about that is that sometimes I see this trend, and this is on a continuum. So it's, we have alignment between our ego and our soul, amazing alignment on the one end of the continuum, and the other end is like they are in constant battle with each other, and we kind of flow somewhere in this continuum. Some of us are closer to the alignment, some of us are closer to the battle, and that really has to do with oftentimes our life experiences, that could, our life experiences as well as our own growth or wounds or challenges that we can come into that can affect this more or less, or it could be what we're here to learn on this planet too. So I was reflecting about this trend that I'm seeing, where it seems like there's more consciousness on a psychological level that we're building, which is beautiful. I think it's really, really important that we're building more of a psychological understanding, because really the point of that is also to have our egos, be conscious of our egos and what our egos are doing, and to know our patterns and to see the patterns around us. And really, once we have the understanding, it can help us to disidentify a little bit from it can help us to disidentify from what's happening, but it can also help us to make choices that are more aligned with our hearts and our souls. So I love this. I love that this is happening. This is part of, the whole psychological domain. It's very important. The trend that I'm seeing a lot is that as we build more psychological understanding, or maybe it's not connected with the building of psychological understanding, it could also be how the wave of it could be a lot of different reasons why this is happening. It could be, there's more technology that we need to contend with, and that does take more development of the ego to be able to contend with the complexity of technology and all the rules. And it's like we're in the digital age, and so we need um, ego structures that can manage the complexity of the material world in these days. Nothing wrong with that. The trend that I keep trying to get to is that we are also at the same time losing connection. Losing connection um, from our beings. It's like an interesting kind of um, it's interesting. It's become the culture on this planet. It's not us. It's like the momentum, the culture, the collective on this planet is mainstream wise moving away from our beings, from our essence, from our souls. And that is difficult. So I'm trying to make the point that I want to make without demonizing anything or making something wrong, really. But the the point really is that our ego understanding, our ego knowledge, the psychological structures will only serve us so far. And it's almost like we start to have an amnesia about our beings. Really. I want to give an example so that this is not so abstract, really. And the example that comes to mind for me is when I was growing up, and there were so many people that surrounded me that were adults at that time, and their egos may or may not have known how to manage everything that they were experiencing, the wounds, the hurts, the pains. But there was something else in them that didn't disconnect. And that is their bodies actually were really full of their essence, a lot more than what I'm seeing on the planet now. So like when babies are born, and I often refer to this, when babies are born, their bodies are yummy. They're full of like their essence. Essences are actually substances in in our bodies that make us feel cozy, make us feel warm, make us feel even loving, actually. They're actually substances in our bodies. So when babies are born, they have a lot of substance in their bodies. These are our beings, our essential qualities, or even our souls. And what I saw with the generation before me, and I grew up, I'm from the East. So those were the people that were surrounding me, and their bodies were a lot closer than the bodies in current day. Their bodies were more full of their substances, of their essence, of their beings, of their souls. They actually had more fullness in their bodies. It didn't mean that they were big bodies. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the substance, the feeling of yumminess, the feeling of warmth, the feeling of generosity. The egos couldn't manufacture that. It's their bodies. They were connected. They didn't empty out. They didn't get so locked up in the ego structures that they didn't have access to that anymore. So what I'm noticing is that with time, it seems like with time, with the development of the ego structure and the positive development of the ego structure, really, the consciousness, the awareness, what is happening is that we are forming ego identities, but we are forgetting the rest of us, which is the richest parts of us. It is the fountain of aliveness, of everything, really. Our egos don't have it. They can't produce it. They can try, they can connect with the trickles of the fountains. Our egos aren't, we're not completely moved away from our beings and our souls and our essence, but we don't have the same fountains. Like, yes, the egos may have known or not known how to manage things, and the egos did one thing, but their bodies didn't shut down. Their bodies stayed alive. They stayed connected. They stayed juicy and yummy in their bodies, and it flowed out. Because when our bodies when we're connected with the truth of who we are, even if our egos are having a really hard time and we throw a tantrum or do something, we can't fully disconnect from those other things. We can't fully disconnect from our warmth. We can't fully disconnect from our generosity. We cannot fully disconnect from showing up in that rich way. So this is really why I do the work that I do, really, to integrate the psychological understanding, to integrate that awareness that gives us more choices, that helps us to really live more in alignment with our souls, with our beings, with our hearts, with our essence. And the other side of it, the psychospiritual part of this is the psychospiritual part, which is, and who we are is not our ego. It's limited. We are the richness of who we actually are. And we somehow have lost access through individual wounding, through the collective moving in that direction where we don't have people that we say hello to who mirror back to us who we really are. They don't. We get people mirroring back to our egos. Oh my gosh, is my outfit pretty enough? Oh my gosh, I have white hair. And how is that? Oh, I start to focus more on my image, my ego, instead of, oh, when I look at you, I can feel the warmth in your heart. I can see in your eyes the beauty of your soul. I can actually really feel your warmth and mirror it back to you. If we had that, we would just be walking around being like boop, 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 full of essence, full of our souls, full of our beings. And okay, we have wounds, we can work through them psychologically, but boop, I know who I am. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it's, if anything else is giving you a little bit of a map or inspiration, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for being here with me again today.